You guys all good? Can see our screen? We'll take no news as good news. Once again, that's our contact information. Josh, Joel, and Jeff, 3 J's, makes it pretty simple. We have, that's our contact information. So if there's something that you guys want to follow up with after this presentation, please feel free to email us and we will get back to you as quickly as possible. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, this is the state bill 1383. This is the new law that's coming out as pertaining to the recycling of organic material. A lot of people have been doing the green waste in residential communities. If you have a landscaper, that's probably reducing your footprint from that as well. But the new thing that's coming out is the organic food waste disposal, which has been a hard thing that a lot of the haulers have been trying to really nail down here. And like Joel said, this is a state law and it's coming down on the cities, and then the cities come down to the haulers, and the haulers are coming down to the customer level to say, okay, well, this is how we're going to roll this out. Each one's handling a little bit differently on how they're going to dispose of the material. And we'll get into a little bit of that. But the goal is by 2020 or 75% reduction by 2025 years. So in 2000, so next year after the beginning of the year, this is where we're gonna have to start this process of getting rid of some of that material.
So real quick, you guys, what they did is in 2014, they measured the tonnage, the amount of weight that was coming out of each city in California. And then that's how they're deciding what 50% diversion is. So they're looking for 50% reduction from this 2014 bill or way they did for every single city. So that's where they're starting from, 2014. They're looking for 50% reduction by 2020, and then it's going to go up to 75% reduction by 2025. When you guys think about your trash and recycling right now at home, when you pick up the recycling container, what's heavy in it? Probably just the glass you put in there. That's it. When you pick up your trash bag and you take it out to the trash, what's heavy in there? It's probably most likely your food waste, right? So it makes sense when they're trying to reduce by tonnage that they pick the heaviest things, and food waste is next on the list. So that's where they came up with these numbers, and that's where we're headed. This law grants CalRecycle the authority to mandate this. What CalRecycle in the state of California has done is put the responsibility on each city themselves. And then what we're seeing in return is that the cities are now putting that responsibility on the haulers. And we're going to explain a little bit more of that in the next couple slides.
And I think one key thing to point out is that this all started back in 2014, and we've had all this time. It's just kind of coming to a head, coming to fruition. And you see that 50% by 2020. And that's why 2022 in January is a big date, because that's when the fines for these haulers are going to start kicking into place, because they're going to be essentially responsible for this diversion rate. And then that's going to obviously trickle down to these homeowners and individual property owners.
Over half of the haulers have been getting fined for not meeting the 50% diversion the last 2 years. So just keep that in mind.
So this is how it's going to affect almost everybody on this call. Multifamily dwellings with more than 4 units are required to provide this for their residents. And then multifamily or any commercial business for that matter is going to need to have that has more than 2 cubic yards, which is a 2-yard trash bin of solid waste, is going to need to comply. So getting into how to comply, we're going to need to work on, first you have, like I said, the green waste aspect, and then we're working on the food waste. What do you want to grab this one, Joel? How to?
Yeah. So how do you comply? Obviously, you guys can go directly to the hauler, Waste Management, Edco Republic, and you can request, to have organics implemented on site. And so that's the first way to do it. Obviously, you can consult with the outside company, which some people have done with us to figure out exactly what is needed. One thing we do see is that if you just generally call the waste haulers and say, we want to implement organics, their implementation of organics is going to be most cost efficient to them, not necessarily most cost efficient to you and your HOA or property that you're managing. And so there are there's not necessarily ways around it, but there's some thoughtful ways that we can do to really encourage you guys to do, here's the best way to implement it that saves you guys the most money and allows you guys some time to figure out how are your residents going to deal with this? What is this going to look like? And basically get your guys' a process set up to where you don't have to, hopefully by, January 2022, have every single resident have a toter, an organics toter on site. You might be able to find some ways around the community to place some organics cans strategically so that you guys are in compliance, but then the cost isn't going high. And that's where we think we're going to come in and help that process and those questions.
So that key right there is where the county states that you have to have 5 gallons of organic volume. That's, I think, what's going to be kind of a catching point, where they might provide for a little bit of creativity or flexibility with how you move through compliance and actually comply with the law on it.
Education is going to be a big part of this. We can provide educational material just generally. And then if you guys have specific educational material you're wanting for your community, we can help you produce that as well. We already have flyers and videos that explain what's going on and how they can follow the mandates correctly. As you guys can see, it's going to get more complicated. I'm sure some of you have been getting fined already for what's been going in the recycling, where there's a contamination fee or an overage fee for overfilling. That also is going to apply to organics. And it's really important that people are properly educated on what can and can't go in those containers. And we can absolutely help with that as well. Okay, so besides the best practice, so we actually go out, you guys, if you guys haven't worked with us in the past, we'll go out to the property and provide an audit. We look at how many containers you currently have, how much waste you're currently producing, and then we have really good estimates based on best practices on how much organics that you need right away to meet the compliance, and then how much you're going to need over time. So that is one way that we can really help you. And then obviously providing the education. And again, the education can be general or specific to your property as you guys request. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well. I do want to bring this up too. I know you guys, a lot of you manage multiple properties, and there's 2 types of areas in San Diego. You're going to have the franchised areas. That would be, examples would be El Cajon, Chula Vista, Carlsbad, Oceanside. The city is going to have a specific franchise agreement with your hauler, and the pricing is going to be very specific and already laid out, non-negotiable. What you're going to see in open markets is it's going to be rolling out at different times, and the pricing is going to be different for every area. We have pricing from Waste Management that they're putting out right now saying, hey, this is what it's going to cost. And we're not getting open market pricing right now from Edco and Republic. We're thinking they're going to start laying that out early, either January and maybe as late as like March or April. Right now, Edco is really rolling this out to their franchise cities is what we're seeing. And Republic's doing the same thing. Republic just got Carlsbad as well, so they're really busy rolling that out. It's their priority. It's in their contract with the city that they have to have it by a certain date. So every open market area, which open market would be City of San Diego and also unincorporated County of San Diego, every property will be required to have this. The actual costs will vary depending on where it's located and what type of service you guys are need for that property. Okay, if you guys are a waste management customer currently, you're probably seeing this start to roll out, and you're going to see a big push moving forward. The reason Waste Management and Republic are probably going to roll this out first is both Waste Management and Republic have been getting fined by the city of San Diego for not meeting the 50% diversion requirement. It's kind of ironic because the city of San Diego themselves, if you live in the city, you get trash service from city employees like I do, and they themselves are not meeting the requirement. Either they, I mean, one example would be if you live in a house in the city of San Diego, you're only getting recycling pickup every other week. So obviously their tonnage is going to be less. They're having a really hard time meeting this with their city service. They're kind of passing the buck on to the haulers, and we're going to see more of that. I'm assuming that they're going to end up finding all three haulers here pretty quick as soon as we get closer to the 75% diversion rate. And so ultimately the haulers pass that on to the customers, which is all of you guys. And so trash prices are going to be going up in the next 3 to 5 years. I would budget for, 50 to 100%. I think that's what we're going to see, especially since if you guys have been paying attention, the large haulers, EDCO, Waste Management, Republic, have been buying up all the small haulers over the last, 5 years. And so there's a lot less competition. And again, in the haulers' defense, they're the ones having to build these gigantic facilities. They cost, millions and millions of dollars to build. They're having to purchase additional trucks to service an additional route. And so it's really expensive, and ultimately it's going to trickle down to the customers, which is us. So Waste Management is kind of at the forefront of this. They kind of always are when it comes to recycling. They try to push and be the first to, their goals to be as green as possible. Republic and EDCO, amazing companies. They're going to be rolling this out as well. It's probably going to be a couple months behind, but don't think just because they're not giving you a price right now that you're not going to be paying for it in the very near future.
Yeah, and it is available in some of the franchise markets, like Josh was saying too, with EDCO, for example, when they took over El Cajon, you can see where the prices went up, but that's because they included green waste into your pricing. So you pay for trash and then you get green waste with it. So figuring out ways to take advantage of utilizing that green waste container could be something that you could utilize down the road, perhaps with a landscaper, not carting that material off and paying at the landfill to dispose of it. Maybe they could utilize that bin that you automatically have to pay for anyways. So there is some options that you can kind of utilize each franchise differently, and depending on what each city proposes and to approve. So
I just think one thing to keep in mind, if you remember the very first slide, it talked about being in compliance in 2020, which is this year. So the reality is, the reason some of you are seeing Waste Management roll this out now is because they are out of compliance and currently getting fined. The fines can get trickled down to the homeowners starting in January 2022. And so that is why they've started to already implement this, because it is affecting them. It's just January 2022 is kind of the tipping point where the city's able to come in and fine people for not being in compliance.
Okay, Republic currently does not have set pricing. I think you guys saw on the last slide that Waste Management does have set pricing. That's the pricing you get through us. Just one side note, a big question we're getting right now is, how do we get these cans cleaned? One thing to think about is all of us have been throwing away food waste for years, and we're bagging it and putting it in the trash. And so the smell is somewhat contained in the bag. As you can imagine, just like you've seen with recycling, the haulers are no longer going to let you put food waste in a bag. It's going to have to just be dumped in the container. It's going to smell. It's going to be horrible. We are going to have a premier service that includes organic service and can washing once a quarter included, and then you discount it if you guys want it every month, or if someone wanted it every week. I think that might be excessive, but we can provide that as well. Republic does not currently have set pricing. We're guessing, they haven't put this out exactly. It sounds like it's going to be beginning January. They're going to have set pricing, and they're going to start announcing that. Republic is in the process, is what we've been told by them, of building an organics facility in San Diego. I think they're probably waiting to make a big push till that's completely done and up to capacity. They have been fined the last 2 years for not being in compliance with SB 1383, and you've probably seen an increase in Republic pricing, or if you had Taman prior, Taman pricing, specifically because of this. Even though the cities technically aren't allowed to fine individuals till 2022, they're essentially finding individuals and homeowners associations and apartment buildings by finding the haulers. They're going to pass that cost on to the customer. And probably most of you have been noticing a rise in trash
You
prices.
probably saw it on some of your invoices. Waste Management called it a zero waste fee. Republic called it a recycling compliance fee. That's what Josh was talking about when the customer ultimately pays for when the hauler doesn't make those goals. So,
and Edco's bids have just gone up quite a bit in the last 36 months. That's what we're seeing. Okay. Edco also currently knows set pricing. We just got off the phone with them right before this call, and we had about a 40-minute conversation with them yesterday. Their facility is in Escondido, correct?
Yep.
San Marcos?
Yep.
Escondido. I don't think it's 100% complete. They are accepting some tonnage there. It's
From their
specifically,
franchise cities.
yeah, specifically for their franchise cities. And it is not a rollout and not a push yet, but it will be very soon. I think that facility's probably going to be done in April, May is what I'm hearing from them. So I would look for a big push for organics and a mandate in open market properties as well, starting probably around then. That would be my guess.
So that's kind of all the information, you guys, that we have. And like Josh said, we've been trying to do as much research we can on our end to talk to people. We are getting a lot of they don't know, and that's mostly from Edco and Republic. It's more of a trial and error to see, hey, what is this cost of getting rid of this waste going to actually be? Waste Management is the ones that we talked about kind of getting to the forefront of it, and they've set their prices and they're making the big push for it. Unfortunately, there just isn't a lot of detail on the information other than the fact that we know that it's coming. And we're trying to do our best to prepare you guys for that. We did have some questions that were sent to us via email, so we're going to start going over there, over them. And then once again, if you have some questions, we can throw them in the chat.
Before we jump into the questions too, I had one more thing. I was going to say, like, when we look at these properties, we're going to start off with a process. We know that all these boards are going to be price sensitive. So there is a way to kind of build up with this process where, like, on some properties, we've started rolling out one bin just to get you started, get people kind of in the process. There's probably that 10% that really wants to join in early and that is interested in this. And then that's going to kind of bump up as recycling did years ago when people weren't doing recycling, and then now most people are, right? So there's a way to kind of start this process out and kind of grow it within the community. And there's a lot of ways to get in compliance. Some people might say, okay, well, we're just going to do a centralized dumpster. Some people might say, we're going to block off certain areas in the community due to proximity. So there's going to be, I would say, a balance between your cost and how cost sensitive you can be in compliance, and maybe the effectiveness of the program as well. Like, are people going to walk to the center of the community to dump off their organics? You know, that's probably a small percentage, but maybe you're getting the compliance. If you do it in proximity and you break up strategic locations across it, but you end up spending a little bit more money for additional containers, I mean, that's another argument where maybe you'll get higher diversion ratios too. So I think there's a balance to what the board is interested in, how hard they want to push on this, and how you want to get started on it too. So that's my opinion on it. So.
Okay, we're going to read these questions again. Some of these came from you guys, all of them did, and I'm sure other people have the same questions. So, and this is a real common theme. What if there's not enough room in my enclosure? There's a lot of different bin sizes and options. You guys, we try to be a resource for you, and our services are free. You can send us an invoice and say, hey, will you go take a look at this property? We're going to come back with best practice options for you and pricing, and say, hey, look, this is our suggestion on how you can comply. And then this is the pricing if you go through us. We get really good pricing through the haulers, and we know what everyone's paying just from doing so much business in San Diego. We pay, between Edco, Republic, and Waste Management, we pay them over $10 million a year just in San Diego County. We do stuff all over the country, but just San Diego, it's over $10 million just to them. So we're really familiar with what everyone's paying and what you should be paying. So
On the enclosure thing too, just with the size aspect, I was gonna say, like, I've already looked at some properties where people had concerns. There's a lot of ways you can get creative on fitting it in an enclosure. Say maybe you just have 2 bins on your property, it's a small one, and you can't squeeze this bin. We're looking at a cart, like maybe 2 feet wide, 2.5 feet wide. Sometimes you can reduce the size of your dumpsters and increase the frequency where you are still getting the same volume off that end, but then you create a little bit of an extra foot between your 2 dumpsters to squeeze in your organics toters where people can walk to the back of the enclosure and dump their food waste and get organic exposure that way. So there's ways that we can get creative to adjust the sizes of your dumpster if size limitations is one of the biggest concerns. And we've started working on that already in some of our properties.
Yeah, we had an example the other day of an enclosure that just fit 1 3-yard trash and 1 3-yard recycle, and they had the toter dropped off. They didn't know where to put it. So we went to a 3-yard split bin. So we were able to remove one of those bins, up the frequency of the one bin that was both trash and recycle. And then we were able to take the toter and put it in the enclosure. So like Jeff says, we can be creative if you really want that toter inside the enclosure of how we can try to make a little bit more room.
Yeah. And keep in mind, we're looking for, especially if your landscaper's handling most of the yard waste out there, we're looking for 5 gallons a residence at this point. So, I mean, if you're imagining you have just dumpsters comparatively to your cart's probably going to do the job in most scenarios where you have multiple dumpsters. So, and I think that's going to slowly trickle up as people become jumping on board with this service. So.
The second question, will the service days be dependent on as needed basis? Yes, we can, and the haulers can pick up 1 day a week, or they can pick up, 6 days a week, depending on what that property needs. And then obviously, as you add more bins and more containers or larger containers, you're going to need pickups less frequently. So the first step is getting in compliance where you're offering the service to your residents as required. The second step is education, and then as time goes on, honing in and making sure you get the right service for your property. It's going to take a while to get people to actually use the container and start using it correctly. So this is going to be a multi-phase process. Just like you guys have seen recycling change over time, this is going to change over time as well. But that first step is just making sure that you're in compliance, that you're getting credit for having organics on the property, and then the hauler is going to want credit for getting organics on the property, so they don't get fined or in trouble from the cities they're in.
I think that those would answer kind of the next question too. I think when we think about what's going to take place January 2022, it's going to be, do these homeowners and associations, do they even have it, and are they offering it to their residents? I think when it comes down to how much per unit is going to come later down the road. Mm-hmm. So, if you have 300 units versus 100 units, I do believe that 64 or 96 gallon toter will suffice for quite some time. I think maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, they could get a little bit pickier about, well, you have this many units and the 5 gallons per resident, but I don't believe that's going to be where their first effort's going to be. It's going, are you providing this service to the residents, regardless of the number to start out with? And I think that answers kind of the next question as well, but you can read it off.
No, you're right. We kind of answered that. The next question is, if there's 70 units, can we change the sizes and frequency? And the answer is yes. Is there more information on how smell pests will be controlled between services? Will there be bags in the bins? And if not, will they be cleaned regularly? I kind of touched on this before. You will not be able to put bags in the bins. That's not going to be allowed. We do have a program we're putting in place where you can have regularly cleaning of that bin. I don't know if you guys have seen our trash can cleaning truck. If you guys are in one of our pin waste or master pin communities that already gets trash can cleaning, we have a truck that cleans about 20,000 cans in San Diego every year. And we kind of saw this coming and started this program a while ago, knowing that it's only going to grow. So that is an option. We can give you guys pricing for that. And I'm sure you're going to get complaints and questions from your board on that as well. And so we'd be happy to give you pricing on what that looks like. Okay. The cost to comply with this bill seems pretty extreme. The board would like to know if there's any way to go from having homeowners pay for it individual bins like they do right now to community dumpsters. Would this be more cost effective for the community? Can you please provide estimates? So there is, Jeff brought this up. The actual requirement is going to be 5 gallons of service for every resident has to be available at the property. For some communities, that's going to be more cost effective. There are going to be, so from the hauler's perspective, what they're getting judged on is tonnage. They're going to be required to divert a certain amount of tonnage. As you can imagine, if you have a community with 400 homes and you put one random container across the property, the odds of people using it go way down. If every single person has a small container in their garage, which is what the city and the bill actually wants, the use is going to be much higher, tons. It's just going to get used. It's convenience and education are the 2 things you can do to increase recycling volumes. And so we're already hearing from haulers that they are going to stop bidding 2-cart service. This is for homes with garages that they're delivering trash, recycle, and now organics containers to. We're hearing from haulers they will no longer be offering that service. Now, I don't know if that's going to be right away or across the board. I have an idea that some haulers may say, hey, we have to meet these numbers and this is the intent of the bill. And so this is all we want to offer. Will there be ways around that? Yeah, possibly. And we will help you guys answer all those questions. We do have a platform. If any of you guys have ever used our pin waste platform, where residents can claim their address and pay for services individually. We have about 20,000 doors in our platform right now. Some residents already pay for trash separately, like they're paying for it individually. They pay Waste Management, they pay Republic, or they pay Pin Waste in our platform. There is a possibility, if you guys had a master plan community and you didn't want to add this to the budget, that residents could be required to go into our platform and pay for their green waste separately. And then we can add it to the master bill and deliver it to everyone. And then the cost wouldn't have to be absorbed by the homeowners association. Just to give you an idea, I think we're going to be looking at, for cart service to a home, probably somewhere between
$10
and $15 initially per home. So obviously, I remember in 2012, we were getting $15 quotes from Waste Management, Republic, and Edco for 2-cart service for
Trash
each home.
and
And this is just for organics. And you guys, organics is going to be more expensive for these haulers to get rid of than probably even trash, especially now till we get to some type of volume, like economy of scale.
Green waste used to be $2 a cart, now it's substantially more. So organics has gone through the roof. All types of green waste process. This is a tax being passed down from California to residents and homeowners associations, and we should prepare for that. And like Josh said, each hauler is handling it a little bit differently. So imagine you have a law and you have a business and you're looking to comply with that law. Waste Management's going to bid stuff differently than Edco is going to bid it right now. And I think people are figuring out how this is going to all fold out coming up soon with the new law. So that's something like with the 2-cart service or the 3-cart service, we'll see like how everybody starts doing it. It'll probably come down the line. So
our guess would be in the next 3 to 5 years, everyone will be required, every home, individual home will be required to have organics at their house. That's technically the way the law reads, and that's what we're hearing. So a homeowner has requested we address the new fly smell. Okay. Yeah, we addressed that during the webinar. The clean and can service will be offered, and we can give you guys individual pricing for that. Is there any requirements on the number of bins needed for a community of 500 units? If you guys have a community you want us to look at, again, our initial goal will be to get you in compliance and work with the hauler or haulers that you're currently working with to make sure that you fall under the new mandate. So we will send over the invoice, ask us to help, and we can come back to you with something. And again, we're not charging you anything for that advice or bid.
One thing I will add on is all the current, the carts that are sent out through waste management are lockable. And we have had a few residents ask for locks, and we think that's probably the best way to ensure that people aren't putting in the wrong things in those material. It'll help with the smell, it'll help with flies, to make sure that, you know, those residents that are taking advantage of this this program, you know, it's not open to everybody that doesn't know how they're doing it. And we do suggest putting a lock on that toter.
I'm nervous about contamination with these things, people dropping the dog poop bag and all those things. So like at least making a little bit harder to use for the people that really are using it correctly, I think would be advisable at some point. So
I would guess that there will be a bin locking fee from the haulers if they have to undo the lock. So just keep that in mind. This is a good one. What are the consequences, if any, to the association if residents do not comply? So this is a two-part question. One is, eventually the city itself you're in will be fining you eventually. What we're guessing, and this is going to be more quickly, is that the haulers are not going to let you not have this service, because ultimately they're already getting fined from the city. So it's a difficult question. You know, very soon you're not going to have a choice. You're not going to be able to bid a 2-cart system anywhere in San Diego County or California for that matter. So I don't think actual fines from the city will be handed down for a while. I'm going to be surprised if by the middle of next year, any hauler is letting you have service without requiring some organic service, because it's being mandated to them. Does anyone have any other questions that we can address right now?
Looks like there's some in the chat. So
there we go.
Okay. We'll be able to share this presentation afterwards. Yes, we are recording it, and we can post it on our website, and also send it out to the same list of property managers that we sent this link out. Please share the info from earlier slide regarding HOA's 5-gallon minimum, and elaborate on what that means to an HOA community/individual resident.
Just to clarify the 5-gallon minimum, that's a San Diego County requirement. You may be in a city that has a different requirement. So that we heard that from the county of San Diego. That does not apply to every city. Every city is going to have their own requirements. Again, California is holding the cities accountable. The cities are holding individuals and haulers responsible. So they're just going to have different requirements. We can absolutely share all these slides with you guys as well.
Well, I asked the question, so can you expand on what that means? Because I am in the county of San Diego and actually in the city of San Diego.
So what that means is this: for hypothetically, if you have a community with 100 homes, okay, you have to provide 500 gallons. Is that a week? Yeah, a week of service to comply with the county mandate. That's what that would mean. And so the toters they're providing are 64 gallons. So that 64-gallon toter,
2-yard dumpster is 400 gallons though. So keep that in mind.
yes, which is the largest dumpster we're probably going to see with organics, because they get so heavy.
Yeah, the weight's incredible.
Yeah. So
specifically for that 500 homeowners association, you would need probably at minimum 2 of the 2-yard green waste dumpsters.
that was for a 100 home community, but yeah, two
for her 500 question.
Correct.
So yeah, that would be more than enough, because that would get you at essentially 800 gallons per resident. So, yeah.
And again, that's just open market county of San Diego requirement right now.
Right. When you're saying 2 bins, does that just mean that you could have additional service, like a 2-yard bin, but have service 3 times a week? So it would be
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, you get one bin going twice a week.
100%. Yeah.
You get to do the math however you want with frequency and size.
I just needed clarity on what was being said, because it was a little bit not clear. So thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And you provide we work with Universal Waste Disposal. We provide curbside and building e-waste and shredding services to, again, probably somewhere between, I don't know, 15 and 20,000 residents just in San Diego County. If you guys are interested in that service or you want it, again, convenience and education, nothing is more convenient than curbside for people. So we do offer that service. Where to get a minimum size of the bin?
35
Yeah.
gallons is what we're seeing this moment. They might come up with some smaller ones though,
Yeah.
down the road, but that's all they're seeing pricing on so far.
We do see in San Francisco,
20 gallon.
yeah, I think it's a 17 gallon.
Yeah.
It's the same size as the 35 gallon. When you open it up, it just is a smaller cavity. So that 35 gallon is about 18 by 22, I think. That's the size of that cart. And then it's, I think it's 30 inches high or 34 inches high. So it's the smaller toter. It has wheels that roll that you guys have seen. That's what the smallest container we can get. Do you provide services for office properties? Absolutely. You guys, we manage all the waste for Coffee Bean. We did Wendy's of Montana and Wyoming. We do stuff all over the country. Our office is located in Point Loma. We're based out of San Diego. This is where we started back in 2008. A lot of our work is here. So any type of waste and recycling services or help or questions you guys have, we can help with any of it. We do consulting. We've done consulting for County of San Diego, Carlsbad, Oceanside, you name it. So we get cities ask us to help them meet their mandates all the time. We've done studies and reports. Any questions you guys have or any properties you need help with, we can absolutely help. What about high rises? Where would these bins be located? Should each unit have their own bin? No, we're going to be able to put bins down in the shoot rooms. Yeah. Or somewhere else on the property that is considered a best practice location. They will be getting pulled out just like the dumpsters you guys currently have. And as far as them, most of your buildings, I've never been in a building that has a 3 chute system. There are some mechanical systems you can place in a chute that allows for a 3 bin system down below, but they're not very common. So most likely people will have to walk their organics down to a common location. Yep. Obviously that's going to contribute to less participation. But again, the first step is just making sure you meet the mandate requirements, which is requiring the service. And then the educational part is next.
I think one thing to note about high rises, if you do go with a toter, like you do have at your house, and you have current valet service where they come in with a stinger truck and pull your dumpsters out to the street to get serviced. We don't believe that the haulers are going to be the ones wheeling out those toters. That'll have to be someone on site that on trash day is wheeling out that toter on site. The trucks will come get the dumpsters and pull them out to the street, but we don't believe that the waste haulers will be kind of giving what we call toter valet service. So that would have to be arranged by somebody on site.
Okay. That may change hauler to hauler, but yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing. Our association currently has a contract with Global Disposal. Will you guys be assisting with getting the required dumpsters in the existing trash enclosures? The answer is yes. If you guys want us to give you a best practice evaluation immediately, again, EDCO and Republic aren't starting that service right away. They will be at the beginning of the year. But I'm sure what you guys are wanting to know is, hey, how is this going to work? And what does our budget need to be moving forward? You guys are having a lot of those conversations coming up pretty quickly. And that's where we can help you right away, is come up with a solid budget and plan you guys can present to your boards. And again, that is free if you guys send us the property address and an invoice, and then an LOA, a letter of authorization, allowing us to contact the hauler and just ask these questions for you and bring you back a best practice report with pricing. That would be the next step for us and you guys.
Yeah, we've been getting a ton of questions and struggling with getting the numbers from EDCO and Republic. Like we said, Waste Management got their pricing out about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, which has been huge. But yeah, we've been pushing those guys for numbers and we're still not getting them. So, yeah, go ahead.
We're in the process of putting together the premier can cleaning program that you guys can take part in. If you guys are interested in that service, we'd love to hear from you, because it's going to help us come up with the best pricing. A lot of our pricing and service value has been based on us providing services, a lot of volume. So we're going to go sit down with Patriot and the trash can cleaning truck and say, hey, This is what it's going to look like. This is how many communities and cans we have. We're going to negotiate the best pricing, and ultimately your community is going to be able to take advantage of that. It would be really helpful to us if you guys would send us a message or an email and say, hey, I'm really interested in this service, or at least getting pricing for it, because it gives us an idea of how many people would want that service. We're assuming once it starts, there's going to be a lot of communities that want the cans cleaned at least once a month or once a quarter at minimum. But I mean, depending on what type of situation they have down below or where these things are being kept, they may want cleaning every week. So we can definitely help you guys with that as well. Is there any other questions?
Yes, please. I have another. I know you were saying that for larger communities like high rises, that the bin in the central garbage room is what's recommended. But is there any benefit to having units have like a countertop, smaller compostable bin that they can put things in and then bring down like once a week or every few days when it gets filled, but it can be better managed in their units versus taking it out every day?
Yeah, and we can help you guys if you guys say, hey, we want to bid. So we go to conferences. Like the biggest one we go to is Waste Expo. I think this year was in Las Vegas, and they have every type of trash item you can think of. And the tabletop or under the counter small compostable plastic bins are a really popular item there. We can get you guys bids if you say, hey, we want to deliver 272 of them to each unit in our association, and we want you guys to put information and instructions inside. We can help you purchase those and make sure they all get delivered to you. So if that's something you guys are interested in, let us know. We're trying to make your guys' life easier. This is already going to be complicated and expensive. Hopefully with us, it's less complicated and less expensive.
For letting us know that we want to have another evaluation, being already partakers in your service for many years. Do we just do that? Like, hey, now can I follow up with me, put me on your schedule for a loft, or do I need to reach out to somebody specific? Because I imagine your line is going to get very filled. Your calendars are going to be overwhelmingly filled.
You can just send an email to Jeff or Joel and say, or our premier service email with Ash, and we will go out to that property immediately. That's kind of, even Waste Management has said, hey, if you can just start with the people that want to be first movers and want answers and pricing on this, that's beneficial to them. Obviously, you can imagine there's a backup in ordering trucks, cans, dumpsters right now. In general, we're having problems getting that stuff. And then you compound that with everyone in the state of California is having to implement organic service in the next 3 to 6 months. It gets really complicated. So the haulers want to deal with customers like homeowners associations who have a lot of people and they can really make an impact on. So if you guys are interested, send us an email and you guys will be at the top of our list. We'll get you out pricing and quotes right away.
All right, toss up those email addresses again before you go, because those went too quickly. I'm sure I'm not the only one that didn't get a chance to scribble those down, but
we'll type them into the chat.
And then if you guys put your email address in this chat, we'll make sure we email the entire the slideshow to you as well.
One thing to just remember too, this is what we love about our company. We're not working for the waste haulers. We're working for you guys. And so, the reason we're doing this is because some of the waste haulers are just, basically putting it out there and making you guys get in compliance. We're here. If you want to get in compliance right away, we're here to help facilitate that. If you want to wait and you have questions and see how things roll out, we're also okay with that. This is not a money maker for us. This is just our job of working for you guys and trying to let you know what we think is coming down the pipeline. And that's really our goal for this whole thing. If nobody puts in organics and no one was ever going to get fined and it was no issue, we'd be okay with that. That's why we're doing this, is we're just working for you guys and trying to make your guys' lives easier. I am going to put this stuff in the chat real fast.
The more properties we manage for each waste hauler, the more value we bring to them. They were excited when we told them we were having this Zoom meeting. They said, thank you very much. Obviously, we're helping them out by educating you guys because they're getting a lot of questions too. And, they said, we had 2 of them say, hey, can you call us back and tell us how this Zoom meeting goes? We want to know the questions they're asking. Obviously, they want to answer them for you guys as well. We're meeting with the head of sales for Republic today at 3 o'clock, and they want to hear the same thing. So if you guys, any questions or comments you guys have, if you guys have boards or board members that have questions, don't be afraid to reach out. If this becomes a huge deal in one of your communities and we need to jump on a Zoom call for a board meeting, we're willing to do that as well. Any way we can help you guys, that's what we're looking to do.
I did put Jeff and I's email in the chat, so go ahead and take that down. Like Josh said, if you want us to go if you're a current global member and you want us to go back out to your property, we're driving around San Diego all the time. We'll swing by and kind of let you know what we think best practices could be at that specific property. And so anything you have for us, just email us and we'll get back to you right away with as much as we can help. That's our goal.
So, and just, I know we already talked about the e-waste, light bulbs, batteries. I know those are issues for you guys, and those are big problems that we tackle. Also, bulk items we see it becoming a bigger issue right now as well. It's always been a problem. We have bulk item services we broker. I mean, over $150,000 a year just in bulk items. So if you guys are having those type of problems at your communities, we can help with that as well. Please reach out to us, and just anytime you guys think of a waste and recycling question, we want to be a resource, and we're here for you guys. So if there's anything else you guys want, if you guys want us to come to your office and do a lunch and learn or jump on a Zoom call specifically for your office and answer questions for other people, we're happy to do that as well.
Okay, well, if there's no other questions, just thank you so much for your time. Please email us. We're getting all your guys' emails in the chat. We're gonna send out an email and just follow up with you guys so that we can start that conversation and see how we can make your guys' life easier and help your residents out get prepared for this new mandate. So thank you guys very much. We'll stay on for a couple more minutes if anybody wants to ask a question, but we really appreciate your time, and you guys just have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a great day, guys.
Hey guys.
Hey, Zoe.
Long time no see.
I know.
Sonora Ridge, they arrange their own trash pickup. Like we don't do it for them, so they will just reach out and do it all themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So is that one of our properties? Do we have Sonora Ridge?
I don't think so.
Don't think so.
What city is it open? Is it San Diego or county?
It's part of East Lake 3 master, so it's Chula Vista.
Okay. Yeah, so they're going to have to reach out to Republic individually and set it up. I don't know what the franchise rate is for Chula Vista. I think it's $8, but they can reach out to Republic. The city has already negotiated bulk pricing for obviously trash, recycling, and organics, and it should be pretty easy for them to get. Republic is building their organics facility actually down in Chula Vista. Chula Vista is the largest city in San Diego, and Republic happens to have it. If you guys are in the city of Carlsbad, they're also going to be taking over Carlsbad as well
Next year in June.
Yeah, and so if your property's in a franchise city, and if you guys have a question as to whether it's in a franchise city, please feel free to reach out. But they can contact their hauler directly, the individual homes. If have dumpsters, you guys can contact us, because just us going out to the property and measuring all the waste that's being produced and helping you guys with the best practice side of it is probably going to save you a lot of money, energy, and time. So we're happy to help in those franchise cities. If you have dumpsters, if it's toters and individual service and the resident pays it, then yeah, you're going to have to go directly through that franchise hauler.
Okay. And then I do have one in Carlsbad, but the only trash that the HOA do on their behalf is a once a week. It's literally just like 4 totes from the pool area, so that won't be needed, right?
Is that an individual home community, and then that's the only
family home?
Yeah. So where the requirement's going to be is at the single family home side. You will not have to put a organics container in the pool area.
Okay.
Yep. Now, if there is an option there, if is the trash paid through the HOA dues or individually?
Only this, I pay
Only
like
that. Okay, yeah.
$70 a month for this small service. It's
Yeah,
the
so
same at Manchester Squall. They have one dumpster near their clubhouse.
I believe the city of Carlsbad is going to roll out the individual carts to each residence probably somewhere around March next year. That's my best guess.
Okay, so back
I
at
don't even think
Sonora,
Waste Management's gonna do organics in Carlsbad. They're gonna wait for
It's
Republic to do it.
yeah.
So it won't be till
Okay.
June next year
That-
that
that-
organics will be available.
Oh, that's when the Waste Management Republic switch happens in Carlsbad.
So
Okay. So back at Sonora, I'm assuming that the trash company will reach out to them saying, this is a new thing, like,
Correct. Republic will probably just deliver them. I'm guessing the same thing. I'm guessing somewhere around February. I'll probably know more today after I meet with the rep this afternoon, but their actual rollout date, they haven't put in stone. It looks like it's the very beginning of next year.
okay, so I'm just looking probably at Bridgeport, which you guys already are on board with, and Village that I've tried to get you guys on board with. Okay, I'll email Jeff separately about that then.
cool.
Okay.
Thanks, Zoe.
Zoe,
Thanks, guys.
thank you
Good
so
to
much.
see you.
It was very good to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Can you put Jeff's contact information out there again?
Yes, I can.
Barbara, how are you?
I'm good. I couldn't find any emails from you, so. I only have one community right now that uses global disposal. I've got a single family home in San Marcos that has city services, so wouldn't the homeowners need to contact
They'll
their
probably do it.
services directly?
Yeah.
And will the city of San Marcos be contacting those homeowners?
Do they have green
Make
waste
them
right
aware.
now or no?
Pardon?
Do they have green waste bins right now? Do you know?
I believe they do.
If they do, what Edco did that's unique is in all of their franchise zones, back in April, they allowed for people to start mixing organics and green waste together. So they won't have to add a whole third service to those individual carts. So if they
Okay.
already have green waste carts, they're already going to be in good shape. It would just be more of an educational process to say, now you're allowed to add organics material into those green waste carts that you already possess. So
And that works for Escondido as well.
Mhm.
Correct, yeah.
All the Edco franchise zones, you're gonna be in good shape with. Which is
Okay,
nice.
so gated communities that contract themselves like in Vista.
Yeah, if they're contracting, is this?
This is Edco too.
Yeah,
so-
Vista is Edco too. So Edco should be rolling that out. There is open
Okay.
market areas of Escondido and San Marcos that are in the county. So,
Okay.
but if it's franchised
Yeah.
within the city limits, Edco will be rolling that out to each individual homeowner. They'll be sending out all the educational material. And if they don't already have a green waste bin, it will probably just get delivered one day with educational material included.
Okay, what about Carmel Valley, Del Mar Heights area?
That's all open market and we can help you with that. We'd love to. So we do all of
Okay.
Forest Ranch, we do Del Mar Country Clubs, Cielo.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll contact you about that. So Jeff, send me an email.
Great. Sounds like
Hi,
a
guys, I
plan.
have a question.
Hi.
Hi. So you do La Jolla Alta, and I came late to the meeting. Sorry, I was in the middle of another meeting. So they're going to need to get green waste containers. They currently don't have them. They have the recyclable and they have the trash.
and that's currently one of our properties.
Yeah,
Yes.
is
It
it-
is one of your properties.
We'll put that on our list and we'll get out there and give you a best practice report that you can look at and present to the board. It'll.
Actually, you're not on my list. I mean, I'm not on your list. I want to get a bid from you though.
Oh,
Okay.
I have
Okay.
a different company right now.
Yeah,
Got it.
okay, yeah. Do you want to send us the address and an invoice so we can look at what services you currently have, how much volume you're
Yeah.
currently being serviced for?
We just did La Jolla Alta 4 and added green waste out there and organic material. So
Okay. Yeah,
that-
it's 140 units. They're condos.
perfect.
We have a different company right now. Okay, I'll get that to you probably tomorrow. I have Jeff's email.
Nancy, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi guys, Jennifer again. Thanks so much for all the info, and you've now got an email as well as a message in the board with getting you out here as soon as possible to reevaluate for us where we are,
Okay.
because we are in budget season. When it comes to the individual homeowner unit potential bins for managing it within their property until they bring it downstairs, do they have only plastic versions of those bins, or are there aluminum bins? Just want to see if there's a variety or if it's kind of like a one option is only plastic.
I've never seen aluminum, and
It
I
would
would
work though. I mean,
Those
those kitchen, if you look under kitchen caddies, those are coming up all the time. I was gonna say too, I think some haulers are even, in cities might even be funding some of those. I'm not sure.
Right.
Yeah, so like that, if you're in a franchise area, I know Edco is looking into that too. I gotta notice.
No, downtown San Diego.
Oh, yeah.
No franchise, just all downtown
Yeah.
San Diego.
Yeah, but I think honestly, like you said, I think it would be a great idea for the board to invest in that, because you can get them pretty reasonably priced, and then it kind of encourages and gets the word out there really quickly that, hey, this is what we can utilize. So, and this is what's coming to the property, and maybe a way to take advantage and cross that first hurdle of actually implementing it into your house. So
the recycling totes we've seen are recycled material, like completely 100% recycled plastic. I would be careful with aluminum because the acid from the food would eat through it. I would, if you go the metal route, I would do stainless steel.
that's smart.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day.
You're welcome.
And
Thank
good luck
you.
with getting through all those emails that are now in your email box.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay.
Cool. Anyone else?
Okay, well, thank you guys very much. You have our emails. If you think of something later, please don't hesitate to shoot it to us. And just thank you for your guys' time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.